finial that she perfected. She has a whole article on why that shape, why she chose that shape. And this particular box has an insert ring around the top of a different wood. And then the center of that insert, again, it's backwards from where it was. The center of that insert was used to put a little foot on it, on the bottom. So it's quite an intricate thing. The only thing that I was disappointed about was that the bottom part of the top, the lid with the finial, it was just cut off. It was made in one piece of wood and then cut off with a parting tool, and it left this rough. And it's been that way for 10 years since I made it. I read a recent article from Cindy where she takes this finial then after it's all finished and puts a piece of wood in the chuck and drills a hole through it and then hollows it out so that this can fit into that piece of wood, just flush with it. So then she can take a gouge and finish the inside or the bottom of the finial. But I didn't do that, but now that I know how she would do it, I'm gonna try to do that to finish this one. What I am going to make today is a little bit bigger one because I have a little different technique of finishing the bottom of the lid, and I'll show you that. So anyway, my technique that I'm going to show is good for finial boxes that maybe are 2 inches diameter and bigger. I can't use the technique that I'm going to show you for this tiny finial box.
And why is that?
I'll have to show you that. Or I can kind of explain it that I take the finial before it's finished. I stick it in a chuck and grab it with the chuck.
Okay, that makes sense.
I make a tenon on the finial and grab it with the chuck, but this is too small to grab it with the chuck.
So it's chuck size.
Yeah.
If you have the right chuck, you can do it that way. Okay,
yeah.
You can even do something with a vacuum truck, I thought. I was just thinking.
You just like
No.
this up.
Oh, and and it has to be a tight fit in that when Cindy does it, pushes it into the piece of wood, it has to be a tight fit. And to get it out, she uses compressed air to blow it out. So. Okay, so this is my chuck, my drive spur, and I just stick, rather than switching around between a drive spur and a chuck and going back and forth, I'm able to grab this drive spur by the chuck. It hasn't seemed to mar it, and I just make sure that the oh, what's that? Oh, I thought there was something else preventing it from going in. So I make sure it's against the bottom of the jaws, and then just tighten it. It's going to be squeezed, so it's not going to fall out. I've already marked and center punched the blank here. This is, I think, a piece of rosewood of some kind. I don't know where I got it.
Mystery wood.
Yeah, right.
Is that painted green? Is that in painted green?
It's painted. Yeah, I don't know where the paint came.
That's what the cabinet shop, the color of the cabinet, the wood, people mark their wood with.
Whenever I give a demo, I explain that There's an old adage that says you learn from your mistakes. And the best way to learn is from somebody else's mistakes. So if I make mistakes today, it'll be on purpose so that you learn more. Always a problem getting used to a new lathe or a different lathe. Okay. I got this doctor's, well, it's from my daughter's a nurse. She got it from where in the hospital. The doctors wear this, but it keeps my hair cleaner, and I can put this on. Okay, I don't know. Can you tell if the sound's okay? I don't know. Okay. Okay, this is a roughing gouge. One of the famous turners, he's so famous I forget his name, but he calls it a smoothing gouge. It's a roughing out gouge, only used for spindle work. But he uses it sometimes like a skew on the edge of the tool. It's almost straight on a bigger roughing gouge, and he uses it like a skew to smooth the wood. I should have turned the speed control down before I turned it on. I didn't know what speed it was at, and it could have been too fast. But first, I'm just cutting off the corners here. For the best cut, the tool rest should be low enough that it actually rubs on the wood when it's cutting. A long time ago, one of our not so talented club members said, he just was turning it like this and it was just ripping out the wood. And I said, well, you should really cut it, not scrape it. And he says, well, what's sandpaper for? So that was his reason for doing it the way he did it.
What's your RPM? 0.
1,500. It could be faster, All depends on what you feel safe with, Again, one of our club members who did a lot of spindle work, one time he came in, his lip was all beat up, and he was doing something just like this. It flew off and hit him in the face. That's why I wear the face mask, and I don't turn it up too fast. Again, it could fly off somewhere. Okay, so I'll use the spindle gouge to start the, I'm going to make a tenon. Never raise the tool rest with the thing spinning. Never do that. This is the trickiest cut in wood turning, and that's trying to, now because it's still not round, for some reason it's skating more than usual. I don't know why. Anyway, this chuck is a tapered chuck. It's not a straight jaw, so I'm going to use this skew chisel to make a tenon that will fit that chuck. I just lightly tighten it until I bring up the tailstock into that indentation that was made by the drive spur. I don't like it sticking out too far. It's almost round. Okay, so I want to have enough wood left below the base of the box to jam chuck it and finish the bottom of the box. So I'll make a mark here saying that that'll be to the left of that, to my left, it will be wood that is going to be used to make a jam chuck. And then for the base, just by eye, because I've made a few of these, that's about the size of the base, and then this is the size of the finial. I do have a drawing and a detailed description of this procedure, which I'll scan and send to Bill. And Bill then can send it out to the club for anybody who wants it. I didn't want to make 20 or 30 copies. It's a 2 or 3 page thing. It's a waste of paper. And yeah, right. So in addition to the pencil mark, I'm going to use a parting tool to make a mark. Demark between the finial and the base, and then between the base and the wood that's left in the chuck. Looking for maybe a smaller tool rest. Oh, that's what I was looking for, the toolbox, yeah. So the first thing I'm going to do is start making the finial to the point where I can cut it off. And well, I'll show you. But I'm going to just, right now I just want to make the pointed top of the finial while it's in this situation here. First I'll round it off a little more. Make sure this is tight. Now, because the live center here made an indentation there, I have to cut off that amount to make a pointed finial. Okay. Now, one of the things I do is when I finish making the top part of the finial, I bring up the tailstock to hold it. And the only way to do that, the way I do it, let's put it that way, is I take out the point of the tail, and I make the finial, it'll have to be large enough to fit in here. Inside here, when I take out the pointer, it's conical. It's tapered, cone, yeah. So it won't damage that, but actually sometimes I put a little piece of tape on there to make sure it isn't damaged, but I forgot to bring the tape. So anyway, but I have to finish making enough of the finial so that when I put it into the tailstock, part of it's sticking out. Now, it's important to Cindy and me too that to make this curved rather than straight line tip on it. That looks pretty good. Now I use the skew chisel to make a couple of rings just below that top. But first I'll taper it. Again, a finial is whatever you want to make it. All the pieces I have over there have all different kinds of finials, but I really like the Drozda design. So that stabilizes it, so now I can make it thinner. I left enough wood here when I was doing the tip to give it more stability, but now I can take away a lot of the wood because the tailstock is giving it stability. Now I can make a tenon on the top to fit into the base. I can make that smaller now without fear of it vibrating because of the tailstock. I use a wider parting tool because I ground this as perpendicular as I could to the shaft so that I would get a perpendicular tenon, because you don't want the tenon to be angled when it's going into the base. It would not fit right. Now, at this point, I'll make a tenon to fit in the chuck to finish the bottom of the lid. And the chuck can grab that, and it doesn't matter whether it mars it and puts dents in it, because that'll be turned off later, that part. Okay, that's almost the shape that I want, but I can do more of it later. Now I'll cut this off. This is a special parting tool that has a flute down the top of it, very shallow flute, so that it actually has 2 points on the end. It cuts very cleanly, and it's good for parting off things where you want to not have a twist and break off. Want to leave a little more tenon. I'll explain why later. Also, when I made that point on here on top of the finial, that was a good time to sand it because you'll see that there's not another good time to do that during the procedure. So it was good to sand that, which I didn't. But I'm not going to do any sanding today. So here's where I use the chuck to hold the top part to finish the bottom of the lid. Now you can do some things on the underside of the lid, something fancy if you want to put rings or whatever. I usually make a little pointed center on that. I'll show you. So I'm scraping off the dark part where the parting tool burned it a little bit. Can you show the inside of that? Okay. Well, can't see it that well, but I left a little point inside just for decoration, and also I can put a couple of rings on there. I haven't done this before, but just to show you what you can do on the inside. Just a little surprise when I take the lid off and I look at the bottom of it. So using a parting tool, just the point here, angle down. Making a little mess of it. Oh, get rid of that. That was one of the mistakes I've never really used it. I think I used the texturing tool once, but that might be another. So I'm getting rid of my mistakes. You don't want to go too deep on the bottom here because you're going to be cutting some more wood on the top. And that's one thing, the cardinal rule of the wood turner is the inside diameter has to be smaller than the outside diameter. Unless you're making a funnel or something, yeah. Okay, this is another place where you would sand that at this point, because you won't get another chance. Another thing I keep telling myself, I've done it years ago, but not recently, because I have a senior moments. Before you take something out of the chuck, if you plan to put it back in the chuck, it's good to mark where the chuck jaws were. For instance, between jaws 1 and 2, you could take a pencil and scratch it in there and fill in the space so that, you know, when you put it back in the chuck, it'll be better centered.
That was one of those learning points you were talking about earlier?
Pardon me?
That was one of those learning points you were talking about?
Yeah. Now, I lucked out. That's pretty concentric, so I'm satisfied with that. But it didn't really have to be. I mean, because you're going to be finishing the outside and the inside again, so you're going to make it round again. But anyway. Okay, so I sort of left a witness line there, but it's not that clear. Witness line is where it was cut off so that part of the tenon was still on here. So I know how big to make a hole in here for this to fit, okay? And there's sort of a witness line there, but I don't want to trust it. But I'll put this up against it just to check it out. Now the point here, it's in my way. But, well, start smaller and approach it slowly. Another mark I want to put on here is where the large diameter of the box will be. It's about one third, 2/3. That's about it. Although I have to make that round again. It's not quite round. Okay. So I'm going to start hollowing the base, but I'm not going to finish hollowing until I get the shape of the outside. But I want to get it I want to get the right size at the top to fit the lid. Pardon me?
Since this is ingrained going from the inside to the outside edge?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just making the hole. Instead of using the drill, I'm using the gouge to make a hole, and then I'll turn it the other direction. The tool rest has to be just high enough to give you a little leverage. Okay. And should really have a light. Forgot about that. I'm using it to start making the hole. Now, um,